have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side. My love, you say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
Welcome back. It's a brand new season of CGL.
This is just an absolute treat. These players are so damn good.
The talent on these teams is undeniable. Everybody on every team right now is making plays.
It's going to be an exciting start to the season, and it'll just get better from here on out.
We're about to step to a whole new era of Overwatch Esports. So much exciting action is happening here on CGL that you do not want to miss.
Look who's starting it all off, it's Raven. No one necessarily figure out what is the right way to go just yet.
What a nice roll through from Peyton. It's just gonna solidify everything for Mythos.
Does come back, and Arsario gets the mech, but I don't need a mech. I'll kill 4 anyway.
This is just a highlight reel for Arsario right now.
They're making a statement in the EU Masters here.
This patch is still incredibly fresh. There's so much to learn, so much to change about the way we play the game.
NKC, but the shatter is colossal.
Let's get it going.
Trades keep coming through. Lores, you're gonna be able to find these shots true.
Idu on the overclock with 2.
Here comes an Anvil and immediately goes back to fine skills, slicing and dicing their way through 2, 3, so back and forth.
life.
Good. Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the NAPC. It's CGL. We're back, and it's more playoff time. This time, we've got an elimination match between Amplify and Outliers Esports. Winner continues, loser goes home, Megalaz.
Yeah, both these squads, you know, they hit a brick wall in upper bracket against Red Team and Valentine, respectively, but came down to lower bracket. They flexed their muscles a little bit, and they showed they're not ready to be done just yet. And now they're up against each other. I mean, someone's going to continue here in lower bracket, but someone's got to go home.
Yeah, both teams, as you know, you said, got their jobs done in the previous round, both with a sweep. Outliers over RRG and Amplify over EA UCD Blue. So they've wet their whistle a little bit. They're, you know, rolling. Hopefully, one of them. Their plan is obviously to continue this playoff run. I don't know if we've got rosters for you, maybe. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at Amplify's roster. We've got Chobalux and Angel Velato on the DPS, Spark Chief on the tank, and Junko and Ghost taking up the backline.
Yeah, super solid squad here. I mean, they've been playing together. I feel like I've seen this core exist around for a while here, and you know, they're able to sort of get it done. There are a lot of flexible players on this roster as well, able to do a multitude of different things, and it's really going to be interesting to see here. But they are up against a pretty stacked squad in Outlier Esports here. I mean, we have BT and Mitosis on that DPS line, Lion Gamer being your tank, and then Aquatic and Slick, you know, bringing up those supports. And fun fact, I just realized, is Outliers, they, due to some scheduling conflicts, this was actually our F&O match from a few days ago, where they were up against RRG. They ended up coming away with a pretty decisive win there, and immediately have to turn back around here. So maybe that quick turnaround, it could be a benefit in helping them keep momentum, keep a good headspace, but it also didn't give them a lot of time to, you know, go into any specific prep against Amplify here.
Yeah, and you know, both of these teams during the regular season, 5-3. So statistically speaking, they're on pretty even level here. So it should be a really interesting match as we get into this game. As you can see, our lower bracket here, the winner of this match will move on to play the loser of an incredibly good game, I expect, tomorrow night between Nexus and Shikigami. The loser will fall to play the winner of this match. So you can probably look forward to that at some point. And definitely that one tomorrow night will be a banger. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, I mean, both these teams, same record during the regular season. So I'm kind of expecting, you know, hopefully a pretty good game here.
Yeah, two evenly matched squads on paper. Let's hope that translates into the game here, as, yeah, both these squads were existing, you know, as we talk about it more and more. We're beyond the Orisa Veil now. We're in this sort of meta where everything feels like almost equally viable, right? We're seeing a lot of rock, paper, scissors at the tank position in terms of counter picking before there's ultimately some sort of mirror that gets decided. But everything else feels really standard. Tracer, Sojourn, both just incredible picks right now. You're mixing in some Cassidy where it fits, but then also over to your supports. I mean, Lucio's the mainstay right now, whether it's with a Curie or with a BAP. I mean, just speeding the team around, making these compositions work like crazy. It's great, especially on, you know, maps like Nepal.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. The first map here is going to be Nepal, and you know, it's always that kind of way where everything kind of looks good and feels viable early in a patch, right? And we've got another one coming up in a couple of weeks, which is crazy because this last one changed so much already. But ignore that. Ignore MME and Pot Friend are the friends we made along the way. But yeah, it does kind of feel that way at the beginning of a new meta, right? Where nobody really knows what the good compositions are, but you know, these teams know what they want to come out on. Amplify on a pretty traditional Winston dive. Angel going to switch over to the Tracer more than likely. An Outlier, they're going to be playing a Ramatra Rush.
Yeah, and they're over here on the Shrine, so the Ramatra Rush, I feel like, can fare just a little bit better, but it's all about, for this rush, finding the target to run down, and whether that's going to be the Kiriko after forcing her cooldowns, or, potentially trying to run down a Sojourn here. Meanwhile, the dive can sort of find whichever target they want at a blitz-neck pace, so it really is going to come down to the tempo of these two teams and who decides they can act first.
All right, Spark Chief, you see, they're just chilling out. They're waiting for something to happen, waiting for potentially Angel to try and call out a target that's maybe out of position here, as Outliers are being pushed off the point for the time being. Now with Lion Gamer pushing in with this Nemesis form, trying to find anybody to pummel, but it looks like Lion Gamer is the one getting pummeled. Jumped on and finished off by Angel here, and without the Ramatra, Outliers will just not be able to get anything done here, have to disengage.
Yeah, and there will be some cleanup picks coming through here as everybody from Outliers tries to, get back to the spawn room, but it seems as though the Kiri's not going to be allowed to escape. But yeah, it's odd that, Ramatra is the target, but at the same time, you look at the rest of Outliers' composition, right? A lot of mobility, lots of, characters that can run. Meanwhile, Ramatra really gets stuck in place, especially when you're lacking that Nemesis form for survivability. So it doesn't surprise me at all that that's become the dive target here, but we'll have to see if Amplify can execute on that consistently.
Spark Chief getting run down a little bit by BT at the moment, playing from the slow ground. As you can see, Angel is also on that high ground waiting for the dive as Junko throws out the Kitsune Rush and gets absolutely folded by Slick. And without those players in, you've lost your Cure, you've lost your Winston. Amplify, now they're the ones on the back foot.
Yeah, and it's a massive pick coming through there from Slick, right? It just opens the fight up in such a creative way, right? Being able to take out your opposing member, Kiriko, is so crucial to these compositions. And, you even were able to force out the Kitsune Rush in that process, so being able to burn that massive ultimate really puts Outliers in a good spot here.
You see Mitosis trying to build up and find somebody to kill with this railgun, or at least deal a little bit of damage, but Amplify's not giving them a whole lot as the overclock is thrown in by Chobalux. Now into the face of Slick's Kitsune Rush, but now Outliers have no backline pressure. They're lucky that it is a trade here, but with this annihilation out from Lion Gamer, there's just nothing that Amplify can do here as this Ramatra runs them down.
Yeah, and that's just the beautiful thing of the Ramatra, right? Once you force out those cooldowns, the teleports, the invulnerabilities, all that movement, once it's gone, that's when you can see the Ramatra really find value as you did there. So heading into the next fight, Lion Gamer again going to be looking to close the distance, but doesn't even have to.
Where was Junko at that Ravenous Vortex killed them? It is a trade here for Amplify, so they're happy to keep this fight rolling, especially with the sound barrier and the death of Mitosis, as Angel is in the backline going absolutely ham right now. Lion Gamer is all alone, left on this point with just Kiriko in tow. This Nemesis form has to be good, but there's just not much that the Ram can do here, as the point will go over to Outliers.
Yeah, and, obviously it's not, the cleanest fight in that situation, right? We're going to see more cleanup here, especially coming from Angel on this Tracer, doing just so unbelievably much. But yeah, I mean, that's beautiful from them. They don't have to overinvest all too much. The sound barrier thrown in the initial secure, but you're going to have pretty much all of your other ultimates heading into this next fight. Outliers, though, they're going to be coming in with plenty of tools here. I'm specifically looking to Aquatic with this sound barrier, though, as you're going to have to mitigate, possibly an overclock. You can't use it greedily.
Pulse bomb out from Angel will not find a target. BT throwing one out, and it's the same result now. Mitosis with this overclock and that extra overhealth from the sound barrier need to find something, but Chobalux makes them eat a face full of railgun. Chobalux continuing to just free shoot into Outliers as they appear in front of them. Aquatic takes a big shot there, now dove on by Spark Chief, who will clean up the Lucio, and at 99% Amplify are just 1 or 2 kills away from pulling this map out here on Nepal Sanctum, or Shrine that is, sorry, as they will find those kills and they'll find this map, as it's just the staggers left for Outliers.
Yeah, it's just going to be these final little touches here from the support line. The Lucio coming back in, Aquatic all for naught here. But yeah, Amplify played that incredibly well, right? Sure, they lost those initial picks, but being able to wait for Chobi to get that, overclock themselves online and being able to survive through the pressure of that other Sojourn before coming up big in their own right, it really helped Amplify, stabilize and turn the tides of that fight. That's little clutch plays like that coming out from your DPS. It's one of the biggest things defining the meta right now is just, that clutch factor to be able to turn fights you realistically have no right to turn.
Yeah. And now Amplify are going to switch it up a little bit here as we get into Nepal Sanctum. It's going to be a more poke-heavy comp with the Sigma, and Angel probably going to go back over to the Tracer here. But now they have a lot more staying power with the healing and the damage of this Baptiste along with the Immortality Field. So we'll see if this change is going to be the right one for them as we get into Sanctum. BT on this point trying to keep Angel in check, who has been doing so damn much throughout that first round. Now Lion Gamer trying to be the upfront damage dealer of Outliers, but that accretion from Spark Chief going to mean Lion Gamer is very, very low, and the picks are actually coming through as Aquatic throws Chobilux in it to the pit, and Outliers will find this first flip.
Yeah, and, it's one of those things where Amplify definitely was more invested on trying to help secure this high ground. It's where Sigma wants to play here on the Sanctum. It's the reason we're seeing more and more Sigma specifically here, right? But being able to deny that high ground for so long from Outliers, I mean, Lion Gamer really stepped up massively. Also, props to Slick for helping make sure that Ramattra stayed in the fight and stayed alive through that whole contest, as really it just helped enable them here, especially heading into next fight. You're seeing how forward Outliers wants to play.
Aquatic not quite able to get Spark Chief there as the Immortality Field and Amp Matrix comes out from Junko. Both of those powerful abilities expended, and so is Lion Gamer here. That Nemesis form fades away, and so does the Ramattra's life. And so does Outliers' grip on this point. It'll just be a touch here for the Tracer of BT, and now the numbers of Outliers are coming in here. You see BT pretty low, does not have the recall, neither does the Pulse Bomb find a target, as the hold here is strong for Outliers Esports. Lion Gamer gets rocked, but is still up and punching for the time being. The damage is too much for Lion Gamer. They did not get a proper fight here, but they squeeze an extra 30% out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they really should have lost this point 30% ago, so if you're Outliers, you have to be happy with that. Even getting Ghost to invest the sound barrier, so it really just sort of allows the rest of these squads, all of the chances here to get back into this one, especially because Outliers are coming in with a plethora of ultimates to match what Amplify has built, so I'm really keen to see how this is going to come back.
Rabbinic Flux out. It hits Lion Gamer, who's just going to pop Nemesis form and not take too much damage. Not going to worry about that too much. The overclock from Mitosis needs to be good, and it will be good for Spark Chief. The touches are coming through from Angel right now, but there's nothing that Amplify can do as they try to get away.
Yeah, you can't run away from that Ramattra being in your face. And I mean, Outliers, they threw everything in the kitchen sink into that fight. They're trying to force a final fight situation here, but Amplify, if they can find the opening, find their way out, they have tools to work with, but Angel's already missing.
Caught out the back line now. The overclock has to be good here. And Amp Matrix as well. That should be able to find the Ram, but not quite able to. Gets around the corner and able to finally pop Aquatic here. So despite losing Angel early, it does look like Amplify will be able to stabilize. They're going to get the flip, but, Outliers are not going to give that to him for free.
No, as we're seeing a bit of a duel still occur here, finally with BT going down and throwing the Pulse Bomb in. It should be officially one for Amplify, but I mean, the Doomfist is here. They seem to want to fight.
And Spark Chief is already dead, so there's a lack of a tank here for Amplify. The flip goes back over to Outliers. The punch gonna be shoved right into the face of Chobilux, who says, if I don't know where I'm going, you don't know where I'm going. So the Lion Gamer's just going to ignore the Soldier for now. It's just the stagger touches. The Spark Chief also returns on this Doomfist as Junko able to get away by TPing over to Chobi Lux. And Amplified trade, I guess, as BT continues to wreak absolute havoc in the backline right now. The point does go over to Amplify, but Outliers, they're just going to take it right back again. Touch from Spark Chief going to come through. Booped up, going to punch. Hits the one there in Lion Gamers. It will be another touch from Angel to try and keep this fight going, as it's just up to these stagger touches. And now it has to be a big pulse bomb from Angel to try and keep this fight going, and it just goes right under the feet of Lion Gamer, and Outliers Esports will be taking Nepal Sanctum, especially with all these ultimates just thrown at the wall.
Yeah, I mean, that was nothing short of chaotic and sloppy from both these squads, but in the end, Outlier, they just, embodied that clutch factor we were talking about. BT really stepping up massively there on the Tracer, able to come up time and again with, generally 2 picks consistently in each of those fights before finally being pressured out. And, now that we're heading on over to Village, you're seeing both teams immediately switch over to Ramatra. No more games, no more worry. You gotta play Brawl here on Village. It's just the rule, the name of the game. That being said, I guess Amplify want to prove me wrong. They're going to look for a dive, but I do not know exactly how this is going to work out for them. There's so many angles they can get poked out at on this Winston. It's going to be rough.
All right, and Amplify will be able to take this early positioning, but both teams now on this high ground. It's up to Lion Gamer to be the one that deals the damage here, taking a lot himself, though. Now, as Amplify drop to the low ground, Lion Gamer still trying to lock down this high ground. And they will for the time being, as Amplify will rotate down to the low ground, jump back up there onto Slick, actually, and push them off of the high ground. Lion Gamer pops the Nemesis form to try and push Amplify back, and they will get this first flip, but nobody has gone down yet, and that is until Chobi Lux decides to eat a magnetic grenade. Outliers Esports are looking pretty unhealthy, but so is Spark Chief. They got to play safe. They got to stay alive.
Yeah, and so many of these cleansing zoos from Junko are being invested just to try to keep Spark Chief alive on this Winston, and so you're not necessarily having them for times where you want to clear out that passive from the damage being dealt by either Mitosis or BT. Now, with not only with the point cap, but just the positioning here, Outliers Esports find themselves at a massive advantage.
Amplify, though, are going to put that advantage in their own hands with, Lion Gamer's dead. They're already done here for Amplify, as they're going to take this point at 36% for Outliers.
Yeah, I mean, their attention really kind of got split up, and they couldn't decide whether they wanted to chase kills or chase the objective, and ended up doing neither there. So Amplify, good on them here. Essentially getting a free point flip, right? No investment of any kind needed. So now you're going to be able to match Outliers on their approach with pretty much anything you want to invest into it.
Dodge going to come through here from Spark Chief, who has the Primal Rage, able to avoid Mitosis Deadeye there, as the sound barrier going to come out from Aquatic in the face of Chobi Lux's not Annihilation, but Overclock, and it won't matter. Even a slightest, Chobi Lux will find 3, and Amplify continue to hold. They take the lead.
Yeah, they take the lead, and, Outliers, it feels like, is getting a little bit outpaced this dive. Was able to sort of just throw everything at them, and they're not able to answer, right? Lion Gamer still building towards their first ultimate of the map. You're seeing just how limited the Ramatra is, right? There's nobody in your range to throw those Fists of Fury at.
Sound barrier going to come out from Amplify here, as Chobi Lux continues to deal so much damage. 2 for the Sojourn, and they push Outliers back again.
Back into the spawn doors once more here as Amplify. They have themselves potentially on map point here. Just simply one fight territory they have to win, but they don't have as many tools, so it's going to be the raw damage here they're relying on to try to get this one done.
And forcing out the Immortality Field is only Spark Chief, though. Pulse Bomb going to come out, get a little bit of damage there. but not going to find a target as a trade comes through. BT for Ghost, 95% for Amplify. Outliers will deny some of this percentage, but they need to win this fight out if they want to have a chance at winning this map. Blind Gamer does not have a Nemesis form, but has the Annihilation as Spark Chief tries to re-engage again. Here is that Annihilation, and Spark Chief will explode here as Chobilux and Angel, this DPS duo of Amplify, will keep this fight going for Outliers. Lion Gamer is taking so much damage, and even with those hands up, Overclock is just too much to overcome for the Ramatra, and Outliers Esports cannot keep up with the damage that Angel and Chobilux are doing, and Amplify, they're just going to take Nepal.
Yeah, and that's how it ends there. Amplify really just, you know, making their composition work so effectively. Outliers, I mean, it's not necessarily that Lion was playing bad or anything like that. It's just Ramatra, again, could not close those distances. So basically eliminating any and all of the value that that tank could ever possess. Really just made it a 4v5 situation every single time there. And, you know, playing into this dive, playing into what Amplify wanted, I mean, that's not something you can do, right? This is a team you have to be giving respect towards. Outliers. You have to be willing to adapt and sort of meet them at their own game if you want to, you know, try to get some hope going in this series.
Yeah, and, you know, it's not like all hope is lost, right?
Yeah.
They did play well, especially on the maps where, you know, Rush was, you know, king. Like, we saw them win out around there on Sanctum. But it did kind of feel like they were getting just run down. And Spark Chief, you'll see here, is dealing just ridiculous amounts of damage and is not scared to just go in alone, which is a scary thing if you've got a Winston who knows what they're doing, which Spark Chief very clearly does. Those melee combos and the primal rages and the bubbles perfectly timed. Having a Winston that is just unafraid to step in and do things their own way, it's just not going to spell a good fight for you if you're not going to be able to do the same. If you're not going to go in with that same reckless abandon, you have to either play really analytically or do the exact same thing and just turn your brain off. Because I promise Spark Chief isn't thinking that hard about diving in.
Yeah. And it comes down to, you know, if you think back to the round up there on the Sanctum where Outliers won, sure, it got a little bit scrappy, but they were playing against the Sigma for a majority of it, and again, it kind of came down to that tempo difference, right? The Ramatra there being able to set the tempo along with the rest of the squad, gaining the positions needed to sort of go forward. So, you know, tempo is going to be the name of the game here heading into Hybrid, and I feel like Outliers, they definitely can, you know, bounce back, have some good answers, but, you know, they just have to, you know, be able to choose the right tool for the right, you know, for the challenge ahead of them.
Yeah, and that tool is probably going to still be the Ramatra as we head into map number 2, which is going to be Eichenwald. I actually don't hate this for Amplify either, to be honest with you. Up until point 3, the dive is perfectly viable, especially on point B, but I do think that it's a little bit underrated on A with the, you know, back high ground. And on Eichenwald, I do think that Amplify definitely have a chance to just run they're probably just going to run the Winston again, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Wait until that adaptation comes through that forces you to sort of fix up your composition, right? And the Winston, we're seeing it get more and more value in this, you know, post-Orisa world. It's one of the, you know, Winston and Ramatra really have kind of reared their heads as the two dominant styles that we've seen a lot of teams sort of pivot towards, but there's definitely still are other options there. As both these squads were just waiting to see exactly what's coming through. Outliers on the offense, I'm not going to believe anything I see.
Yeah.
Team Pile
we do see the fire comp, yes.
Okay, I was going to say. Listen, I normally don't call out this, but Twitch chat, there was somebody saying that Ghost is getting meows if they win, so maybe Ghost has that extra power to play for, so maybe not the Life Weaver now that they're over to Lucio. I feel a lot better. Okay, good. No Life Weaver on my screen means a happy day for me. We're playing the Ramatra, but we are playing with the Cassidy difference here, and this could potentially be a counterpick to the Monkey that just isn't there.
Yep, it's not there. I was entirely wrong, and I will own up to it. Now, as we get in here, it's damn near a perfect mirror, the only difference being those hit scan heroes in Cassidy and Sojourn. So we'll see which of these ideologies will get the better as Whitosis takes so much damage. You see the cutoff there of Chobilux throwing out that disruptive shot, trying to keep them from getting out that way, sliding up to this high ground, trying to find anything. Smart Chief just putting these pellets to good use, and Outliers, they've got to back up because their Tracer wanted to go paragliding, I guess.
I was gonna say, I want to know what happened to BT, whether that was like a misblink or what have you, but yeah, so now with them missing, having to re-engage here and regain all this space for Outliers, it's gonna be rough.
Alright, BT back in this fight is
Never mind.
just decimated by Junko here. Put out of the fight just as fast as they came back. And now this Nemesis form everybody getting pummeled by Spark Chief. And once again, it's the reckless abandon this time of not of Spark Chief, but of Angel and Chobi.
Yeah, I mean, these DPS, they're popping off on just such a high level. We've said their name so much, and for good reason, constantly, doing this damage. And Outliers, they're, obviously starting to feel that impact a little bit, right? They're having to, hesitate a little bit, scout out where they're pushing and where they're going, because anywhere, there could be a DPS lurking, just like Angel is now, ready to make a big play.
Angel with the pulse bomb, not going to find a target. Sound barrier is out for Outliers as Chobilux did pop that overclock, not going to find a target because of that sound barrier. And now Ghost throwing out the later sound barrier, and there's just no way that Outliers Esports can weather the damage and deal all of the damage that they need to do. That was great tracking by Angel.
And now, that's just another fight win for Amplify here. Outliers, they've had this very interesting sort of strategy of investing that sound barrier as an engaged tool, but Amplify is always happy to sort of kite and wait that one out. Those shields do decay, they do end up going away. So now with another push in here, Outliers, they're going to be sorely missing that tool against the Amplification Matrix.
Yep, and Matrix out first, and Mitosis caught out in no man's land. A Spark Chief is also very, very low. Both Annihilations pop, but it's Spark Chiefs that finds the value that Lion Gamers does not. And right now, Amplify, they're a stone wall.
Yeah, and it feels almost impossible to break it down. Anywhere they go, they're not Outliers. They're not able to gain the space they wanted to, and they just keep, falling over. So on this approach here, they really have to make something connect, whether it's this pulse bomb that just went wide or maybe a Deadeye.
Alright, the overclock from a Chobilux, been so deadly, will not change this time as the boop comes through. That was a headshot, but it hit the immortality field. So Amplify, they're gonna lose their Ramatra, but not the fight. Definitely not the fight.
Yeah, no, now with final fight looming here for the offense, you're seeing the Ghost go back to collect Lion Gamer, make sure that Ramatra is here for this final engagement. They're probably going to see a situation where BT or Aquatic might have to get over to the point just to trigger overtime, but from there, the positioning has to be gained.
Deadeye not going to be good enough to find anything here, and with Slick being dead already and a significant portion of Outliers damage gone, I mean, Junko could also go down here. Will go down, but they're just gonna get run down on the other side. Chobilux absolutely feasting on the corpses of Outliers Esports, and a stone wall means a full hold for Amplify.
Yeah, I mean, Amplify, they're looking scary right now. There's no other way to put it. Outliers only able to put up 61% of that capture point progress. Not even 2 ticks is all that stands between Amplify and putting themselves to series point here. And really, I mean, it just comes down to Outliers. Like, they're trying to, push in. They're trying to get these engages, but they're not really taking account of what's happening. They're not, respecting Chobilux or Angel here, because obviously, they're who we're seeing in the kill feed, but there's follow-up happening everywhere. Spark Chief is doing some poke damage coming through from the main, always onto characters, right? As well as Ghost. Pretty much anywhere you're seeing a DPS do damage, you're seeing the Lucio speed in with just such reckless aggression that it's something that has to sort of be punished and addressed here if Outliers want to get some sort of hold going.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a pseudo dive, right? Where you see Angel engage, or you see Chobi engage, and Ghost is right there behind him, being a little mini Winston that has a cool little speaker, I guess. Lucio being the Winston stand-in there. Very, very strong if you know what you're doing, and very clearly these three players know exactly what they're doing, leaving Spark Chief and Junko alone to stay alive by themselves as BT's already dead here. Mitosis trying to find anything with this on the Ashe, and Angel is in the back line, and Immortality Field forced out because Mitosis got so very low, and because that Immortality Field was out, it will mean that Outliers Esports, for now, they're going to hold on.
Yeah, holding on for the moment here, coming up with some massive kills, but, easier said than done. You got one fight down, more to go here, and it really is going to come down to, Mitosis getting some big dynamites and hitting some shots on this Ashe.
Spark Chief, very, very low right now, has to sit in a corner and pray to God that the prayers weren't answered. It appears Lion Gamer pummels down 2, and VT helps clean up Chobilux here, and Outliers Esports, they whittled a minute off here.
Yeah, and now that, they're finally starting to get some confidence back, they're feeling themselves once more here, and you're seeing just how rough it is for the offense, right, to find some angles to get in, and there's just so many places that people can be lurking, angles that you just don't expect the hit scan to be taking for these shots, as Mitosis continues to lay in the damage here while Lion Gamer holds the space for them.
And Lion Gamer pummels down 1 as Bob trucks Ghost into next week, and Outliers Esports with that pick on the Ghost, they're going to force Amplify back here one more time.
Yeah, they choose not to engage without their Lucio. Very smart from Amplify. But, heading on towards our next fight here, Amplify, they're finally building some tools in their bank. Angel lurking in the backline for the Pulse Bomb. It could be stuck onto anybody here, so it really is anyone's game.
You see the Tracer duel going on the low there on the mini health pack, but Chobilux, because of course it's Chobilux, finds 2 on the overclock through the Amp Matrix, and Outliers Esports, despite their best efforts, they're going to lose out here on Eichenwald. The numbers, the kills, all going in the way of Amplify. They move to match point.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to be said. Outliers, they got some good defensive fights in there for the moment, but Amplify, this squad, eventually they were going to find the opening, the chance to break in, and they did just that off the back of their DPS. Chobilux just doing so much. I mean, both of these DPS, really, it's so incredible to see talent of this level. And I mean, Outliers, your back's against the wall, elimination on the line. You got to find a way to answer that DPS line.
Yeah, and it's not even just the DPS line, which are doing so much, right? But we talked about it, like, they've got help, right? The backline, the Lucio there of Ghost just being there as a support, right? Because supports aren't healers. Most of them can deal pretty good damage, and Ghost is keeping up right now as far as a bloodthirsty support goes. More than happy to try and dive with their DPS players here, and it's just ridiculous because Spark Chief and Junko are alone most of the time. They're spending a lot of their time, paired up together, and they just can't kill. They can't get kills on the side of Outliers right now. They can't confirm the kills. They can't finish off the damage that they're doing because they are doing damage. It's just that when push comes to shove, it's Amplify that are in tune with what each other are doing, and Outliers are playing for solo picks.
Yeah, and so it really just kind of comes down to, making those adaptations, and figuring out how to bring your cohesion more in line, because Amplify, I mean, they're almost like sharks, right? They smell the weakness in the water. They'll find that little drop of blood and they'll use it to just sort of rip everything open. But I mean, I don't know. When your back's against the wall, this is where sometimes, the greatest teams can shine. So maybe Outliers, they have that, extra gear hidden.
Oh, well, in order to see that, we're going to have to wait until after this break. We're going to cut to a break really quickly here. And when we come back, we will see where Outliers are taking us for map number 3 on Flashpoint. So stick around. Welcome back, everybody. Amplify up 2-0 at match point. Outliers on the edge of elimination, back against the cliff. We'll see what they can bring out here on New Junk City.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is the switch up needed. When we talk about Flashpoint, we normally see Servasa as the pick that ends up coming through, but New Junk City here on the horizon, it's something that really is interesting because it can bring a few different compositions out, right? Obviously, the Brawl is still going to be what you expect, and potentially it could force Amplify to actually properly mirror it instead of, you know, going over to the Winston like we saw on Nepal. But I don't think they're scared to mirror the Brawl either. If we just, you know, recall from Eichenwald a short minute ago, Fletch, it really was just kind of lights out there too.
Yeah, I mean, they're just playing with giga aggression, right? I mean, the speed that they're playing with is just outmatches Amplify right now. They're just like we saw them on that dive on map number 1. It's the reckless abandon that you really can't really plan for that unless you know exactly what's coming, and so they're just kind of left being like, what's happening? What are we supposed to do? Where are we supposed to look? Are we supposed to walk off the map? I don't know. So I mean, they need to figure out, they need to, you know, just kind of take a breath, focus, and they need to say, hey, they're gonna come at us, let them come.
Yeah, and speaking of things that are coming down the pipeline here, it seems as though Amplify might want to play with their food a little bit. They're making some swaps, some substitutions, but it's simply that Junko is going over to the DPS slot, whereas Lei will be taking up that support spot instead here now. And I mean, taking Angel out, you know, interesting sort of idea. Maybe you don't think you need Tracer as much right now. I mean, that being said, though, I mean, I feel like, you know, even if you don't think you need Tracer, there was so much that Angel was doing. I really hope that, you know, moving over from support to DPS, that Junko can feel those shoes.
I mean, you got to think, right? Putting Junko on DPS, bringing in another support, it's going to be Jotes, right? Something's going to change here, and I got to imagine that we're going to either see a Kiriko or a Brig, and then I feel like the Sojourn and the Genji probably is the move if they're going to change up the DPS role, because obviously Angel was a menace on the Tracer on those first 2 maps. So it will be really, really interesting to see like what happens here with these changes. It is, you know, one of the maps, one of Junker Queen's best maps. Both Flashpoint maps are very, very strong for Junker Queen. So if it's not the Ramatra, I think it's going to be the Junker Queen, and if I'd be surprised if we see anything other than a Kiri or a Brig coming in for Lei.
Yeah, would be interesting to see, you know, anything else of the sort, but I think you hit the nail right on the head. But if the Junker Queen comes out from one side, I mean, you know, rumors of Orissa's death have been greatly exaggerated. There are still plenty of players who believe the hero is viable in some situations, and specifically into that Junker Queen is where a lot of Orissa still can find value these days. But the other hero I was going to mention is what Lion Gamers is currently hovering. Still plenty of time to switch it up. Yeah, just gives it up, doesn't even let me hype up the Malga, just simply, nope, we shall play Ramatra. But, I mean, currently from what's being covered in the spawn rooms, Amplify, they are putting Chobi over to the Tracer now that we've subbed out Angel, and it's going to be instead Junko that's on that Sojourn, so a lot to live up to over there. Meanwhile, Outliers, I mean, they're standard, they're true, it's just going to be a teleport out here before BT is back over to that Tracer here. Noteworthy, though, is Outliers was the only team that teleported out, so they should get the forward positioning.
All right, so they will get there first, but Amplify not going to be super, super far behind. And actually, Amplify are going to take the positional advantage. They're just going to walk in to Amplify. Spark Chief can only do so much with these fists up, but in the back line, the door has been opened for Amplify to win this fight out. BT is dead in the Tracer duel. Now Spark Chief will run down these players all alone, and Mitosis with the fadeaway railgun able to take down Chubby Lux, who was in the backline. And Amplify, they just gotta back up and try and cap.
Yeah, especially considering the fact they're already down one. This ring engage from Outliers, it's going to come fast and swift, and I don't know if they're prepared for it.
Lei has to use that fade, and Amplify will grab this point early. As Lei, you can see up there in the top, very, very low, being pressured so hard. And only just now going down is Lei as Junko tries to put the shots in, but it's Outliers that output the damage and all of the kills. It's all red in the kill feed. 31% is what Amplify is going to get, and Outliers will take over there.
Yeah, and, you know, it was that bit of a back and forth with picks going both ways, but now that that Amplify has been forced to respawn here, you're seeing just how quickly these compositions, you know, mirror each other in so many aspects, right? Both squads doing equal amounts of everything. It's going to be a 10-ult fight here. Really, anybody can come up clutch.
All right, Kitsune Rush, Sound Barrier, Coalescence, everything being thrown out here. Two support ults here. Now Sparchi follows up with that Annihilation, both Annihilations being popped. Chobilux able to get the better of BT once more in the Tracer duel. And the Annihilation from Junko will not find anything while the Sojourn is being jumped by Aquatic on that Lucio. Mitosis able to find a couple of shots, but gets no more. Eats the fist of Spark Chief, and Amplify will take over here at about 83%.
Yeah, they're just waiting. Some final touches here from BT. Might get Outliers just a few more percentage points, which, hey, you'll always gladly take. But it's about winning this Tracer duel, right? I mean, so far, just looking at the kill feed, Chobilux has been winning that one resoundingly time and again. So BT really has to step up in that aspect.
All right. The Ravenous Vortex is out, slowing down Lion Gamer heavily here, punching up this Ramatra, who now has their own Nemesis form, gonna walk in here. Ravenous Vortex slowing them down now, and you see Chobilux has the Pulse Bomb and finds nothing but the business end of Mitosis Railgun here. And Outliers, they've got 92%, and with those two picks here onto the players of Amplify, it's all theirs to take here on Arena.
They get that first point of Arena, back and forth, but finally Outliers, they're starting to show, some signs of life, which is what we wanted from them, right? Granted, that's not good. That's happening a little too consistently now for BT, but, winning that first round, and now Amplify going to get some better positioning, not just because of their, rotations on the map, but the fact they've already removed BT. I mean, this next point should be theirs to capture free.
I mean, there's still time until that flashpoint unlocks, so Outliers are going to be able to get in here and get a fight out, especially with the Kitsune Rush being thrown in. Ghost is very, very close to this sound barrier, playing with fire there by just walking through the Ravenous Vortex in the front of Outliers. Now the sound barrier from Aquatic Spark Chief not going to be able to get out alive here. The Annihilation from Junko just as useless as Spark Chief's live there, and Outliers, they're going to be able to take this first flip here on Refinery.
Yeah, and, Outliers Esports finally, getting a solid foothold as well as pushing their aggression when they need to, right? This is the style of play we were hoping to see, right? They're looking a lot more in sync with each other. Lion Gamer's damage is being followed up on by Mitosis, by BT, and that's sort of the extra leg up that you need in a lot of these situations here. Amplify, they're finding themselves on the back foot for their next engage, but they have the tools to sort of even out that disadvantage.
Alright, Overclock in the hands of Mitosis, the only ultimate on the side of Outliers. Pulse Bomb is out, not going to find a target there for Chobilux, but Mitosis going to go down, no chance to use that Annihilation, and the TP from Slake doesn't get them very far, and 68% is where Outliers will stop here.
Yeah, just a clean fight. You talked about it. Mitosis was the only ultimate online there for Outliers, and you didn't even give him a chance to overclock. It was just shots into that Sojourn here. And now with Amplify having control of the point, they didn't have to expend too many of their resources either. They keep the Annihilation, as well as this sound barrier from Ghost, which I suspect at this point is just being held, waiting for the moment that Mitosis feels confident enough to pop that overclock.
Mitosis finds a shot, but takes a shot as well, and Chobilux gonna be able to run that down, smelled the blood in the water, and followed up perfectly on all of the damage they were doing onto that Sojourn, and now there's just going to have to be a backtrack here for Outliers Esports. BT throughout the pulse bomb, did not find a target as you see Mitosis jogging away back from spawn, and with this Kitsune rush out, not going to get them very far into this fight as Lion Gamer is just trying to find some pummels, gets the over health here. Now the annihilation from Lion Gamer has to be big as the overtime begins for Amplify here. The overclock is good for Aquatic. Good for one. Can they find a second? They cannot, but it's 2 for 2. Chobilux puts the numbers in the way of Amplify Esports, and it is not, well, it's just Amplify. But Lion Gamer, the last one alive, Refinery goes to Amplify.
Amplify ties this one up now off the back. Some heroics coming out from Chobilux. That was definitely a fight they might have considered a loss if it weren't for this star DPS player. Now both teams started tapping out their ult bank across that little engage here, so heading on over to our next point. I mean, it really is just going to be a neutral dry fight, and I feel like this is where time and again we see Amplify, come up big in these neutral fights.
Alright, BT being pressured, and Aquatic there with the save. Getting the kill on the Chobilux early, so they're not going to have the Tracer for Amplify. And they might have to give up some space here as they wait. And as I say that, the Tracer on the side of Outliers goes down. BT is dead here. I mean, the trades keep coming through, but you got to think without Smart Chief, this fight will not be easy. Chobilux has returned to the fight, but Ghost, once again, being right in tune with that DPS, helps to dive on it to the Sojourn, and there's just nothing that these players can do as Lion Gamer, for the second time in as many points, is the last one up. BT returns to the fight to try and keep this point going for as long as possible, but it will be Amplify's eventually.
Yeah, they can't weather the storm here. Outliers, again, sent packing, and Amplify, I feel like they're pushing their aggression simply because they realize they have so much more power, right? And it could potentially be, off of the back of the Moira, right? Having this confidence to go in with a Moira, no cleanse means that you can't wait for these fights to, go long or go your way. You simply have to take them in the moment and force your enemy to sort of be uncomfortable and be out of position at all times.
All right, Kitsune Rush. Ghost chooses not to pop this sound barrier up until now, so both sound barriers will be expended as Aquatic saves the life of their team here. The numbers will go in the way of Outliers Esports. They're going to try and pummel down Lion Gamer with the Annihilation, but the kite from the Annihilation is great. 75% is where they will stop here on Junkyard, but they only need one more fight.
Yeah, one more fight, so they just have to flip it back. Granted, though, with how quickly flashpoints tend to go, Outliers also could be considered within that one fight range if this fight goes long by the time Amplify gets back. So, heading on into it here, it's going to be the tale of two overclocks once more here, and we'll have to see who gets the better of it this time.
Mitosis needs to find something big here to lock this point up. Both overclocks thrown up. So something is going to end now here on Junkyard. Which will it be? Junko takes a couple of shots there from Mitosis. The Pulse Bomb not going to find a target, but Spark Chief's Fist will get the kill onto Lion Gamer as Mitosis from this low ground able to clean up onto Ghost. 99%, and Mitosis is coming alive here late in the Junkyard. They're going to find the flip at 94%, and there's just nothing that Amplify can do here to keep this fight going. Map point for Outliers.
Yeah, and they need this map, obviously, to stay alive, and they're looking to do it in, potentially this next point here as we are heading on over to the Ducks, and it's just, we're stuck outside here. Again, both these teams are throwing everything in the kitchen sink into these fights. They're willing to invest crazily because they each think they have this crazy clutch factor, and I feel like that's starting to hinder Amplify just a bit.
No ultimates coming up soon with the exception of Slicks. Kitsune Rush and Chobilux's Pulse Bomb So one each. We'll see as the Kitsune Rush is thrown out by Slick. Amplify, they have nothing to deal with it. They need to back up or die here to take as little time as possible.
Yeah, and already, you're seeing everybody get cleaned up, and that's sort of the best case scenario right now for Amplify, right? They want as many cracks at this as they can get, especially considering how many ultimates they're building towards. That being said, though, Outliers just invested the Kitsune Rush into that one, so they're going to have their own bank sort of to throw back and forth here, but I mean, at the end of the day, all it takes is one pulse, and it can end a fight before it can really start.
All right, here we go. They see Chubby Lux there. The pulse bomb not going to find a connection. Sound barriers come out. Aquatics in response to the coalescence. Can they find something here? They cannot find the Lucio. Chubby Lux is able to clean up that damage, though, so it will be okay for now. The numbers are in the way of Amplify as Spark Chief just has to hold on to a thread there to stay alive and Amplify take over.
Yeah, and they not only take over, but they force out so many ultimates on the side of Outliers here. Sound Barrier, Annihilation, Pulse Bomb, all coming up with zilch. That being said, they drain themselves pretty effectively here, so now holding this choke. Again, if I'm Outliers, I want to take this fight fast because I want to get as many cracks of this as possible, and the longer this goes, the less likely you are to have a second fight on this point.
Mitosis has a railgun and finds Lei early, puts the Moira out of a commission here. Now the overclocks from Junko have come out, both have as well. The flip is going to come over to Outliers, but Mitosis taking a shot. They need to find the final blow, but the healing comes through for Mitosis. Has another railgun charged up and ready to go. Mitosis gets run down, but the healing is there. Spark Chief falls. 80% as BT is coming alive to be the hero in this fight. 2 for the Tracer of Outliers Esports. And finally, it feels like they've got some breathing room as BT finds a third in it. 97, 99, 100% for Outliers there on the bomb flat. And 100% of this map is theirs.
And, all it takes is a little bit of momentum going here. Amplify, not ultimately working out. Maybe their roster swap suddenly being in hubris here. As you're seeing just Lion Gamer humble the opposition. You're seeing how great this Ramantra can really step up when you need it to. And now with a map on the board here, it doesn't feel as dire. It doesn't feel as impossible, They can take it to Amplify on these maps, but they got to do it 2 more times before they can consider their job is done.
Yeah. And that's a great first step, right? You need something. You need some kind of win in your sail, right? You're not going to go anywhere if the wind is dead. If you're dead, either, I guess, for that matter. So Outliers, they got something going. If they can keep this going, we will see, I guess, because for the rest of the series, it's going to be Amplify's map picks. So they're going to cater to what they want to do. And what they want to do is Reckless Abandon. And, the DPS line was a little bit shaky there for Amplify on New Junk City, but they looked good. Junko stepping in there on the DPS didn't look bad. They had their moments, but I feel like it was Mitosis that really was the one that came alive there on New Junk City that put Outliers ahead. BT popped off at the end, but I really do think that Mitosis took a big step there on New Junk City to put Outliers in a position to stay alive in this playoff.
Yeah, and I mean, just having that pressure from a DPS angle, be somebody that can, force the enemy to respect them, force the enemy to sort of rethink angles, how they're going to push, anything of that nature. It really, can change the entire tempo of the fights as they happen. So, Outliers Esports, it's a good look from them, but it is just a small step here, especially heading into push, because now from here on out, even if you want to, dream of this reverse sweep, you are, going against the grain, right? Amplify is going to have every map pick for the rest of the series, and it's really going to make it just that much more difficult.
Yeah, and coming back in here to map number 3, we are going to have the reverse substitution Junko going to go back to support, and Angel coming back in on DPS. The Team Mexico DPS line will ride again here for Amplify. So, you know, maybe they're upset. You think they're upset that they lost the map here, Omega?
Oh, I imagine so, right? You probably were all laughing after map 2. You were like, guys, wouldn't this be funny if we, you know, made some silly subs, played a little bit of Moira, got funky with it. And I promise you, there's a very stern, like, locking in speech occurring across the rest of Amplify here. But yeah, I mean, that's just the nature of it, right? You made a silly swap. You ultimately ended up paying for it, but again, it's very dangerous to make those in this series, right? Because Angel, I don't know where I got Valentine from, was obviously good before, combined with Chobi, but, you know, to give that momentum to Outliers, to show them, hey, it's possible, y'all can win this. I mean, that might have been all they needed to be able to sort of answer back and start fighting.
And we do have where Amplify are going to take us. We're going to Esperanza here for push. And you know what? I would be really interested to see this Winston come back online here on Esperanza. I feel like it's as far as the push maps go, it's probably the best for Winston. You know, obviously the Ramatra is still a very, very good shout, and I do expect Outliers to be playing that, but you know, it's a little more up in the air whether Amplify wants to come out on the Ramatra that we've seen on the past couple of maps, or the Winston that we saw them dominate with on map number 1.
I fully expect Amplify to come out on Winston, but I want to see Outliers Esports, you know, mirror that Winston on the other side of things, right? They have to be confident in, you know, taking that potential mirror, because there's, you know, high ground that has to be contested here and things of that nature that you just can't give up, right? And we also saw, thinking back to map 1, right? There were so many times where the Ramatra just felt outclassed and outranged, right? People would just sort of run away from you constantly. All of the movement abilities that everyone in this composition possesses really just sort of leaves Ramatra at a loss a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, Ramatra, very, very good. Damage mitigation, still great for now. Going to be even better probably after the next patch. But it does still have its weaknesses, namely his back, I guess. If you get that Ramatra turned around, he's not going to be able to keep up. And we do see that Amplify are hovering not the Junker Queen. That's Outliers, thank you very much. But Amplify, they're doing a little monkeying around, you know?
Yeah, exactly what we want to see from Amplify. They're back onto this Winston, their bread and butter that looks so unbelievably strong. Outliers onto the Junker Queen with a Cassidy in tow. I like this adaptation, right? You're still playing the same fundamental idea, but with the Junker Queen, right? Junker Queen can close those distances with a shout, and as well as just, you know, that jagged blade to sort of separate somebody from the rest of this dive, the rest of this squad. I mean, it gives you a lot more options instead of just the Ramatra, who just has to hope somebody comes into his range. I like it a lot.
There we go. Mitosis needs to keep the momentum going from last map. Hits a nice shot there on the Chobilux, who has to take cover. Speaking of Chobilux, hits a nice shot on the Mitosis, who is by the skin of their teeth staying alive, but Chobilux, of course, is behind them as Smart Chief just gets melted, torn to shreds there. And Outliers Esports, despite the loss of Mitosis early, they're going to find the picks, they're going to find the first push.
Yeah, and, you know, you're seeing Mitosis sort of make that mental decision of getting off of the Sojourn, as well as, you know, the swap on the other side, right? Spark Chief heading on over to the Junker Queen themselves, realizing, yeah, Winston's not going to be it. That shotgun is just too lethal here. So now we are on an almost mirror besides that slight hit scan differential. And really, it's going to come down to, you know, taking advantage of these long sight lines here for Chobi, you know, in order to make this Sojourn really work. Otherwise, the Cassidy from Mitosis could get more value.
Smart Chief gonna rotate up to this high ground where the rest of Amplify are waiting. They're not gonna hit someone back there. I think that was Aquatic, but not entirely sure. But Angel doesn't have recall right now, so has to play for their life for the time being. Still getting chased down by BT, who does not want to let this go, but in the end has to. but Outliers Esports do not have to let this go at all, especially with the death of Spark Chief and Junko signaling the end of this fight for Amplify.
And, you know, this was something I was kind of concerned about, right? Angel coming back in, you know, has not been anywhere near as dominant as they were those first 2 maps. So, you know, coming in off the bench after sitting out a map, you probably aren't feeling as warm as you once were, and it's going to be a factor certainly going forward here as we're heading into a heavy ult fight.
All right, Overclock is out from Chubby Lux, and that is just gonna be the end of the fight here for Outliers. They're gonna try and find something here, but it will be Amplify taking this fight and beginning their own push.
This is restricted airspace.
Their own push on the other side of the map as well, and, you know, good for them. Outliers only push 36 meters, right? That is definitely a distance that they can catch potentially off of just one push here, as Outliers are just stuck waiting for the respawns. You know, gonna be that ultimate difference once again. Aquatic missing the sound barrier. Everything else for Outliers is going to be online here as they start their offense.
Right, recall already forced out from BT, but Mitosis and the rest of Outliers Esports are just able to eviscerate the Tracer there, and this Rampage from Lion Gamer. You know, the sound barrier just too little, too late to save Amplify's life, and it's just going to be a stagger here on the Spark Chief.
Yeah, I mean, staggering a Junker Queen, that's a crazy thing in and of itself, but, you know, that's the thing, right? Anybody's able to be staggered out here in this lovely game, especially when you have your entire squad alive. Nobody on this side of Outliers ended up falling, so now they will be able to secure those forward checkpoints and those forward spawns, rather. Meanwhile, Amplify, they're looking for a way back into this, and that's not a good way to start it.
Yeah, I mean, their way back in just had the door shut in their face. The death of Junko, they just can't get aggressive here. They have, you know, a Rampage and a Pulse Bomb ready to go coming into this next fight as they await Junko's return. You see BT gonna rotate over to this high ground as Spark Chief tries to find a target, and Angel finds a target. It's gonna be the Pulse Bomb onto the Cassidy, and they're not gonna need the Rampage. They've got this tool for later.
Yeah, and so, you know, obviously it is super nice here as you're going to see BT head over to the bot. Just a little bit of stall before ultimately falling. One thing, though, because Spark didn't need it in that fight, sure, you'll have it for the next one, but what will also be online after all this time is Aquatic building up to a second sound barrier, so that could be a massive way to sustain here, as I promise you, you know, Slick is going to get pressured to use this cleansing Suzu, so it might not be there for the rush, or for the Rampage, I should say, either.
BT's Pulse Bomb does not find a target here as the Rampage comes out from Spark Chief. It only hits Lion Gamer. So Aquatic using that sound barrier, maybe not even needed, as Lion Gamer was able to back out and not take any damage as the Overclock comes out from Chobilux. Gonna try and find the target here on the Junker Queen. Deals a lot of damage, but not enough to get a final blow here. And Mitosis throws in the magnetic grenade. It has to back around the corner. Took a lot of damage there from that Sojourn, as everybody is taking a lot of damage on the side of both of these teams as the trades continue to fall through. Spark Chief only has overhealth left, and Angel just has to get out with their life.
Yeah, and the fact that Amplify wasn't able to secure forward spawns there is brutal, because now that ensues that this is going to be another 2 fights minimum before they take the lead back into at least 3, now that Outliers have managed to get the spot back onto their side of the map. You're seeing Outliers wait for their full squad. They're not necessarily concerned about getting the, you know, extending their lead at this point right now. They're just worried about making sure to take a tactical fight together as a team.
Deadeye out from Mitosis. Just a little bit of zoning, trying to keep people away from TS1 for the moment. Will not find a target, but Mitosis able to just put Angel down there on the low ground. The Junker Queen of Spark Chief somehow able to stay alive in this fight. Was all alone, I should say. Able to back up to Amplify to save their own life. The forward spawns will be activated once more for Outliers Esports, as you see Angel, you know, behind, but kept in check by BT.
Yeah, I mean, being kept in check is like the perfect, you know, way to sum this up, right? I think BT has realized you don't have to necessarily win the Tracer duel outright. Just sort of going toe-to-toe is all you need, and just keeping, Angel in line as, Chobi can now be the star.
Chobi will get traded out, and the rampage from Spark Chief hits Mitosis and only Mitosis. The kill will come through, but Spark Chief not going to be able to do anything after that. Lion Gamer is absolutely dominating on this Junker Queen.
Yeah, and I really like this look. I'm starting to wonder why we didn't get to come up to it sooner there, as Angel's taken out by Aquatic, and that means, Outliers, they potentially can re-secure their forward spawns here and make it just that much more difficult for Amplify to continue this. I mean, look at Outliers right now. We've built up towards a heavy bank of ultimates. Sure, Amplify can mirror in most aspects, but they just are lacking that, Junker Queen Rampage, which ultimately didn't come up with a fight win.
Spark Chief, or Lion Gamer rather, able to get the forward spawn, and then just going to play safe. As you see, Aquatic is keeping them aware of where Amplify are chilling. The Tracer duel ensues once more. Both use recall. Neither will fall, but Aquatic and Slick will not be able to say the same here. Spark Chief does end up going down, but this fight should be a pretty easy one to win here for Amplify. I say that as the Rampage came out from Lion Gamer. Ghost very, very low. Chobilux trying to keep this in check as the Aquatic returns, is able to get the sound barrier off. They're trying to kill Chobilux. Can they do it? Can they get rid of Kiri? They can. Junko goes down. Chobilux uses that slide to get away, but 15 HP is never a good sign for anybody in Overwatch, let alone a DPS that cannot heal themselves. And the fight will, go over to Amplify, but they've got to back up because the bot is in the next area code.
Yeah, they got, pushed while they weren't looking. Just that poking and prodding of the Tracer. Angel able to steal the bot away, and now there will be another re-engage here. Really, I mean, Amplify is good at not giving up any meterage for free, but, it's about winning those fights after that fact in a resounding fashion to try to get your lead built back up instead.
All right, Kitsune rushes Aura out, and Mitosis has already popped Chobilux with the Deadeye. The kills are coming through from Outliers Esports, and that's just not a good sign for them as 50 seconds left. Outliers have now just about doubled the distance of Amplify.
Yeah, and so now you're looking towards, the entirety of Amplify to sort of be able to piece things together, because they're losing more and more meterage here. They're already going to be contesting this in overtime if they want to try to draw this back, but the longer this goes, it's just looking better for Outliers.
Shout comes through from Lion Gamer, has the only ult on the board at the moment, but they may not even have a chance, need to use it here. Rather, as Mitosis has found the Cassidy gap on to Chobilux. Rampage is out from Lion Gamer. It'll just get cleansed up as Lion Gamer goes out there. It's going to be big, and there's just no touch. There's just no touch. Megalas, there's just no touch.
There's no touch, and I promise you, Amplify is sweating bullets right now because this is an Outlier squad that has all of the confidence in the world. They've realized that Amplify is not this, immortal squad towering above them, that they really can go to toe-to-toe and even best this squad in these situations here. I mean, I talked about it on that last map of New Junk City. You give a team that momentum, you give them hope, and they will take it all the way to the bank here. We're heading to map 5, Fletch. We're going to Escort and Amplify on their main squad. I mean, they really did just kind of get dwarfed on that map of push.
Yeah, I mean, there was a pretty serious, I don't want to say gap, but I'll say gap in the Junker Queen department. And then they did such a good job at keeping Angel in check so that Chobi did not have the free reign that they did on maps 1 and 2, where Amplify won out. So Outliers Esports, they changed up the formula, and it worked to perfection. I am just like, what an underwhelming end to a great map by Outliers, by the way. I just didn't even realize that overtime had started. Just Outliers were stuffing Amplify into that little room. There was just no chance for them to do anything there, because the Junker Queen and the Tracer and the Sojourn, everything went Outliers' way on Esperanza, and now Amplify are the ones that are left railing. Two map slide here for Amplify. Like you said, they're sweating right now.
Definitely. I mean, it's, a tense situation either way now, right? Loser going home. We are in lower bracket, so both these squads having that looming, should push them to the, absolute pinnacle of both of their performances. But it really is just going to come down to if there's sort of that bounce back from Amplifier, if Outliers can complete the reverse sweep.
Yep. So we will see if Outliers can finish the job here, or if Amplify will stand back up, rising from the ashes. We will see after this break, so stick around because this series, it's not over yet.
Lots of love. Lots of love. Lots of love. 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 Love.
All right, welcome back, everybody. A reverse sweep in our sights, potentially, as Outliers Esports, they found some momentum coming in here. We're on map number 5. They've won 2 in a row after Amplify started out the series with 2 in a row. So, I mean, what a way to, get eliminated or stay alive here for one of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, it really was looking all Amplify. That first break, I really sort of didn't, zone out or anything like that, but I was just like, yeah, Amplify should have this locked up. But Outliers, they really have hit their stride. Their DPS are stepping up, as well as, some adaptations at the tank role, right? That last map we saw, a absolute Junker Queen clinic coming out from Lion here. So if we can see some more of that heading into Escort potentially, or, potentially even some other tanks here, not letting Amplify play their own game, I mean, Outliers could lock up this reverse sweep.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what we're doing here as we get into map number 5 on Rialto. I feel like this is a bit of a different map than we've seen before. It's way more poke heavy than any of the maps that we've played on thus far in this series. So I'm interested to see, does Amplify go back over to the Sigma composition that we saw on Nepal's Sanctum, the only time anybody's ever run anything remotely pokey in this series so far, or are they just going to go over to the Ramatra? The Ramatra is honestly where I kind of think this map is headed. Maybe.
I mean, I feel like I could see some Winston here. It wouldn't surprise me. First point, there's also that opportunity for Diva if you're trying to counter out a Winston and things of that nature. Lots of high ground to play around. We just got to see this map 5 earlier today in our first series of the day over in EU, and there was some Widowmaker at play and things of that nature. I mean, it would not shock me if teams wanted to sort of adapt into that route, lean even harder into your DPS and that space creation. But I mean, ultimately it comes down to what these teams have felt comfortable on and what they've been doing, and for Amplify, that's shown a lot of flexibility, whereas Outliers, they're flexible across brawl compositions, right? They haven't really leaned into the dive at all. It doesn't seem to be their forte, but across the multiple facets of brawl, they've looked pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I think where they stood out the most, and it's probably not gonna happen here, is that Junker Queen. But I mean, realistically, they looked good on Ramatra throughout the rest of this series. They're on New Junk City and Esperanza as well. So I just think that Outliers are going to rely on that Ramatra coming in here, and Amplify. I don't know. There's a lot of things that they could do. I think that it's probably going to be something similar to what we've seen. It's going to be the Winston or the Ramatra. Winston or Ramatra or bust, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really kind of is the situation as both these squads. They've shown what they're comfortable on. They've shown maybe not to be as adaptable to everything else, but it really kind of it sort of needs to break down one way or the other, and we have to see which of these compositions comes out on top, right? We saw where the Ramatra struggles, which is closing that distance, trying to get on to the dive. Meanwhile, we've seen where, the Winston can struggle right into the Cassidy and things of that nature. It doesn't look as strong, but starting out here, both these squads, they have an interesting look, right? It's Outliers that'll be piloting the Winston on the defense here. Meanwhile, Amplify, they're, currently in the spawn room, so subject to change, but hovering a, poke composition potentially with like a Sigma and a Zenyatta. Something to point out, Lei is going to be stepping in for Ghost, so that could be an indicator of less Lucio and more of a, double flex situation, but it seems like they actually do want to run out on the Baptiste Brig, the BB Black line. I mean, it's just kind of... It's an interesting take, to say the least, but I don't know exactly what it's going to be able to accomplish.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's just, I feel like a composition that is trying to do is kind of the same thing as what Outliers is just trying to do with the Ana Brick. That is way more traditional, but I guess we'll have to see as we get into this map. Chobilux trying to put out the damage as much as they can. Lion Gamer eats a couple of sticky grenades, and the focusing beam not going to be able to clean it up with those tri-shots will from Chobilux, and Amplify will be able to get this early push, and they're going to get real damn close to capping.
Yeah, and, you know, that's just a solid, clean fight win from Amplify. They don't have to do any fancy footwork or anything like that. They're able to just, you know, put out the abilities, get the win here. There should be a contest from Lion, but Lion's so low already.
No, yeah, that's just... This is volleyball right now from Amplify, as Lion and Aquatic have already gone down. BT follows. Slick eats a rock. That is Venture's job, Anna. Thank you very much. But Amplify's job is done, at least for point A. They've capped A.
Yep, that cap coming through onto point A, just beautiful chef's kiss on the marker here, but Outliers Esports now having to make adaptations of their own, right? They're over to the Baptiste Lucio themselves to sort of maybe speed their Sigma around, have that little bit of a difference here, but a duplicate already out for the Echo.
Already used that immortality field that did Slick, so they're trying to find something here as there's 2 Sigmas on the field for Amplify. Now following that number back down to 1 as the duplicate fades away for Chobilux. Pulse Bomb not going to find a target there for BT. Neither will Angels. A stick, that is. A pick it will find. There will be a trade, however, as Angel continues trying to take down this enemy Tracer in the backline. Immortality field eliminated by Chobilux and Spark Chief there. The Gravitic Flux in hand for Spark Chief, but Spark Chief may or may not be in a bad spot. The Gravitic Flux comes out, gonna get over the wall and save their own life.
Yeah, and ultimately having to hide here. The defense finally getting a nice stabilization here, despite the low health bars that they're currently sporting, but actually seeming like Spark Chief just wants to go right back in.
The shield is broken right now, having to use that kinetic grasp. They're going to be able to stay alive here. Sound Barrier and Deadeye will come out from Outliers, and Lay will be the victim. The sticky grenades finding a lot of damage on the Junko, who pops that immortality field. And Chobilux, they just got to get out.
Yeah, and BT stepping up again to get these sort of cleanups here. And it's so crazy to me. Every time I feel like I'm looking towards Lion, they're so low, but they're still alive constantly on this Sigma here. Angel, that's a nice pick for the offense here, but they're still, getting out of their spawn, trying to get back into this one. So I feel like this Cassidy should be able to be back and have an impact on the fight here.
Yeah, and Lion Gamer gets boofed off the high ground, and they're going to be able to pick up Lay here as the rally got popped. Did it? What was that stone? Was that Spark Chief? Yeah. So Chobilux popping that duplicate. The Pulse Bomb does find a target this time. BT able to find Lay here as Angel tries to do the same, looking for anything here with this Pulse Bomb. Gonna stick the shield, unfortunately, for Angel. Almost recalling right back into it, and Mitosis, despite eating stickies, a rock, and whatever have you, gonna be able to find Chobilux anyway.
Yeah, and so now we have, again, the defense stabilizing in a very incredible way here. Over to the Sigma, Lion Gamer has looked absolutely incredible, being able to stay alive through thick and thin at everything that Amplify has been throwing at them so far. It's going to be another assault as Amplify try to take this high ground here, but still, it just feels like they're pushing into certain death.
Deadeye locked in for Mitosis, only ultimate on the field at this second. As Lion Gamer continues to try and play some geometry here. And that is not good for Amplify, as Angel's dead. Aquatic pops the sound barrier and saves the lives of the entire team there. Many of them would have gone down to that Gravitic Flux, but Amplify, they sputtered.
Yeah, they're really starting to falter here. Everybody's still up on this high ground trying to contest. The rally ends up getting nothing. So, I mean, you're really looking towards somebody to step up. And unfortunately, it's Aquatic that comes up first.
They just explode on the side of Amplify. So much damage being thrown in by that amplification matrix, by the Tracer, the Cassidy. Everybody from Outliers is just walking through Amplify, and now Amplify are going back over to the Winston.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely feeling lost and confused here. At, everything they've tried to do, this assault onto the high ground has just been met with a brick wall. There's no way for them to get past Lion Gamer or the rest of this squad here. And so now, as we're dipping below a minute, they're pivoting back to the dive, but they don't have a Lucio player, and they can't pivot over to any sort of speed, so I feel like your backline is very vulnerable.
Oof. Chobilux popping this duplicate so damn low in the gravitic flux. Nearly online, will get popped by Chobilux. Still very, very low. Not going to pick anything up, but Amplify will get really damn close to capping this, and they probably will.
Yeah, you're just seeing a contest come out from the Tracer here. Recall being forced before BT is finally taken out of this one. Lion Gamer back on the Ramatra here. Nice, bit of survivability, but when you're in that bubble, the lamp already burnt, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah, it's just Staggers here and Amplify. They're going to find Aquatic, Slick, Lion. It's just touches here, and 90 seconds will be added back onto the clock for Amplify, but Outliers, they were a stone wall there on B.
Yeah, I mean, in that Sigma mirror, Amplify couldn't really get anywhere here. But, the dive has been Amplify's bread and butter, so back over to it. They're finding the value they need. Now with a pulse bomb and a rally here as their engaged tools. Meanwhile, Outliers really, they're building up towards some ultimates, but really closing that distance, getting those last few percent, it's going to be tricky.
Mitosis cancels out a lot of the damage of the sticky grenades with that combat roll. So, not going to be too worried for the time being. Has this Deadeye gonna probably walk around this corner? Definitely thought about it for sure, as it feels like Amplify are all caught up in this room in the front of the point, and with Mitosis having ripped Chobilux apart there, this is going to be rough. BT does end up going down here. The Baptiste getting chased, but with that health from the sound barrier, and especially with Angel not finding a target there on the pulse bomb, it's going to be rough here. Spark Chief tries to pop this Primal Rage, and Junko gets popped, and Amplify, they just got to back up here.
You got to back up. You don't have your Baptiste as well. As now you're going to be losing your Echo here as we're about to enter overtime.
3 seconds for Amplify to try and find anything in the way of a fight win here, and it's just BT going absolutely ham in the back line of Amplify. Lay Junko dead, but Spark Chief follows in turn, and the touch will not be there from Chobilux. Outliers, it's not going to be an easy push. Nobody ever said it would be, but they have their golden box of victory to complete this reverse sweep.
Yeah, and so now, it's easier said than done, though, right? Just because, it would, they really obviously got to point 3, right? There's so many points here on Rialto where you can get stalled out, right? Point A can break down your time bank. As we saw, point B can be a massive thorn to try to break through, depending on what the defense ends up running here. And really, Outliers, they still have a tall task ahead of them, but they know it's doable, right? And they have, finally shown this sort of willingness to flex over to the dive that Amplify has been showing. But again, Amplify, they have this weird sort of backline setup, subbing Lay in for Ghost, where you're without your Lucio player, so you're playing Baptiste Brig. It's a heal composition you don't see work together all too often, simply because, they don't complement each other as well, right? It's almost a security guard situation, but unlike Ana, there's not that same level of utility with a BAP. It's just a lot of healing into each other.
Alright, we'll see if it's going to stand strong as we get into Outliers Esports' final attack of the series. A lot on the line here. A season on the line here for both of these teams. Need to make a play. Anybody needs to make a play. Lion Gamer chilling out on this cart. Gonna jump up. Just trying to force them back a little bit. Gets a little bit of space. Re-engaging up onto this high ground. This Lion Gamer who's taking a lot of damage, but able to keep themselves up and jump in here. Takes a big shot from the sticky grenades. Just playing a little jiggle peek game here. able to stay in this fight for a very, very long time as Aquatic decides it's time to engage onto the Sojourn alone. But Amplify decide, nah, you're not gonna do that.
Yeah, no, and so after this back and forth, it kind of feels like Angel, this is again, being able to step up here. This is the Angel we saw on maps 1 and 2 that we want to continue to see, right? It's that ever-reliable DPS factor that was able to get Amplify, you know, those first 2 map wins here. And if Angel is able to sort of unlock that potential once again here, it could be massive.
I mean, Angel, absolutely electric right now. Pops Aquatic there to keep the Lucio off of the high ground. Aquatic will return here very, very shortly. Now the Nemesis form is popped by Lion Gamer, who went over to the Ramatra. And Spark Chief loses the mech here, and Amplify, they don't have a tank. They got to back up. They got to play safe.
Yeah, they have to, you know, sort of remain hidden for this one. As Chobiluk's able to get that pick, though, means that this defense is still holding.
Yeah, I mean, Spark Chief spent so much time in that Pilot Diva form. Amplify just didn't care. They get the mech back, and they're just ready to go next fight.
And, you know, I'm starting to feel like we're, you know, shades of Nepal once more, right? Lion Gamer isn't able to close the distance onto anybody. This Brig, they're both playing up onto the high ground. It's impossible for Ramatra to get up there easily here. And so it really is sort of leading to a stall out from Lion Gamer, and it's making sure there's less space for the team.
There's just no space for anything right now as Lion Gamer decides to go for a swim, decides that's the best option, and there's just not very many of those right now for Outliers.
And it baffles me because they've seen themselves get shut down by this before. They see that it's, you know, hard for them to close the distance, but they're not opting out of it. They still believe Ramatra is their answer, but it's just going to be so unbelievably difficult. Like, look at how they're getting poked out right now from every high ground imaginable.
Toast is able to join them with the use of the power slide. Needs to find something with this overclock. Needs to find anything with this overclock. Sparky does have the self-destruct as get back into mech. Get out of jail free card. Sound barrier. Overclock out from Outliers Esports. They're just pushing the cart up. They're giving up the... Amplify is happy to give up the space for the time being. They're just going to get back in and touch as Chobilux comes into this fight in the duplicated Tracer form as the M-Matrix from Slick. They're popping everything on the side of Outliers Esports, and they're only able to find Lave for the time being. There's just nothing going Outlier Esports' way. Angel rips BT a new one as the mech returns to the fight, and with 12 seconds on the clock, Angel is returning to form, hitting their stride as Amplify, 3 seconds on the clock, they're gonna do it, they're gonna slam the door in the face of Outliers Esports. Their season will continue.
You know, that reverse sweep, it was looming, it was looking daunting, but Angel came back at the right time, coming alive in just such a necessary way for all of Amplify. And so now, you know, it just means that they get to continue on here. Sure, there were some weak points in that series, right? It didn't look pretty the entire time, but that doesn't matter now. You got it done. You stay alive. Outliers, you played a good, solid game, but unfortunately, when push came to shove, there was just a, you know, there was an iron wall in your face by the name of Angel and Chobi.
Oh man, I watched that entire second round, and there was just one thought that kept persisting in the back of my head, and that's that Outliers had already adapted to a dive.
Mm-hmm.
They had brought out the Sigma on their attack or the defense, and the dive just got stonewalled. And I mean, they just kept running into the same wall over and over and over again, trying to find a new result, and it just never came.
Yeah, and obviously it's unfortunate to see, right? It's baffling, but they elected to run that Ramontra here for their offense, and unfortunately they could not close the distance. We talked about it earlier in the series. It was sort of a highlight throughout of that difference, right? Why the dive was doing what it was doing to the side of Outliers. It just made the Ramontra feel so limited in everything they wanted to do. But every other look from Outliers looked amazing, right? When we think of that Junker Queen, they looked dominant, they looked impressive. Here on the Sigma, they burned a 5-minute time bank down to a minute. I mean, that's not easy to do, especially when you have to sort of regain and rebuy your own momentum here. It really just kind of can baffle the mind when you think about it, because Outlier, as you said, they had provided answers. They had shown that they could deal with it, but instead of opting into it again, they just had this sort of ego, this confidence of, oh, we can still play our Ramontra, we can do what we want to do, and Amplify just said no.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right? Amplify, Outliers, both teams, very, very strong, very good players, right? What it comes down to is that Amplify they adapted better and more consistently, right? And sometimes that's all it takes, right? Is just making the right decisions. Because you can be the most talented player in the world. If you don't make the right decisions, your mechanics, they're just not going to matter. Because one person can't win a series alone, right? And for the 2 maps that Outliers lost convincingly earlier on in the series, it kind of felt like that's what was happening, is that Outliers, they were playing as 5 individuals. And then on those middle 2 maps, on New Junk City, on Esperanza, Outliers, they finally came together. They finally looked cohesive. And then on their defense, they looked cohesive, but then it all just fell apart, and it went back to the same way that it was on maps number 1 and 2, right? Where they were playing as 5 individuals. So for 2.5 maps, they looked unbeatable, but 2.5 maps isn't a series. A series is 3 maps.
There's just 3 maps which Amplify was able to secure. So again, I mean, congrats to them. They stay alive here. They'll be facing the loser of, I believe it was Shikigami and Nexus. So that's going to be a tough match regardless who ends up coming down here. But as much as we'd love to lament and talk about these games forever and ever, Fletch, if I'm not mistaken, I think there's more CGL action on the way.
Yeah, there is, I believe. I do not know which game it's going to be. Because
A game.
There is going to be a game coming up, hosted by Dexatron and Joker's Ransom. The game that's gonna get streamed is still up in the air. So stick around, right? We're not gonna be gone for too long. And when we come back, you'll see it'll be a surprise which teams are going to be up next. So stick around. It should be a good one no matter what. Thank you all for watching. Hope to see y'all in the next one.